A very good afternoon. Many thanks for staying with us here on TV47. Welcome to Newsfeed. My name is Mombi Chege. Now, Jubilee Party Deputy Secretary Caleb Kositany has demanded for the resignation of party Vice Chairperson David Murathe, who has been linked to the KEMSA tender saga. Speaking in his Soi constituency, Kositany said after appearing at EACC, Murathe should step aside as a party official to pave way for completion of investigations into his involvement in the saga. Murathe was grilled by EACC officials yesterday, saying that the Deputy President William Ruto should be summoned to give evidence about his allies, whom he says took part in the saga.
Ile kitu tu mimi nashangaa katika hii Kenya, wezi wanajulikana, lakini kwa sababu kuna wezi ambao ni wa serikali, alafu kuna wengine wale wezi wa kubandikwa jina ya wizi na hao hajaiba kitu. Hii ya KEMSA, my friend, wa Kenya tusiwachilie mpaka tuone hatua imechukuliwa ya kufaa. Kwa hivyo sisi tunataka kusema kwanza, Bwana Murathe, now that you have been linked to the scandal in KEMSA and you have been summoned by EACC, can you now resign for real as the vice chairman of Jubilee? Kwa sababu chama yenye inaongozwa na Mheshimiwa Rais na iko naibu wa rais na ni chama kinachotawala na kina chama iko na absolute majority in all houses, we don't want tainted people. Andika barua kesho, hapana resign ile ya mdomo ile ulitudanganya siku ile. Resign for real, chama iendelee, ukiwa cleared urudi. Kama hutakuwa cleared, basi my friend, utapatana na ile inapata watu wakishahukumiwa huko kotini.
And Kitui East Member of Parliament Nimrod Mbai has threatened to initiate an impeachment motion against Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe if he does not resign in 4 days. This is calls for Kagwe to resign intensify for allegedly interfering with procurement operations within the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA.
Pressure for Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe to step aside has continued to pile up, this time with Kitui East MP Nimrod Mbai threatening to initiate an impeachment motion in the National Assembly against Kagwe if the CS does not step down in 4 days. Mbai, who was speaking in Machakos during a campaign tour to mop up support for Deputy President William Ruto ahead of the 2022 presidential elections, was accompanied by other legislators, among them Machakos Town MP Victor Munyaka, Mwala MP Vincent Musyoka, and Kangundo MP Fabian Muli.
If Kagwe does not step down, I will initiate a motion of impeachment of Minister Kagwe. Because we will not allow a minister to run a ministry when corruption is within that ministry and is linked to the same minister. We can't afford to change tune. We have ministers who are sent home because corruption had happened in their ministries. This is a minister whose ministry is now being investigated for corruption. What the minister doing in the office? President should force Kagwe, or should fire Kagwe, or should suspend Kagwe to allow for investigation.
2022 politics will soon take center stage as the MPs who toured Kangundo and Matungulu constituencies urged Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who has already declared interest to rival Ruto for presidency in 2022, to join forces with the DP camp.
Muomba Mheshimiwa Kalonzo akuje kwa kambi ya Ruto achukue kiti moja katika hizo, ndio Kenya isonge mbele.
2022, the year 2022, hatutaki kupoteza kura yoyote ya Mkamba. Tunataka Mkamba apige kura kwa yule atakuwa president, rais wa Kenya, so that when the president is winning, akona kura ya Mkamba ndani yake.
Vitu ground ni different. Ukikuja ground utarealize kwamba mambo imebadilika sana, and the Kamba nation this time round are saying they are not going to be left out of the government, and where else to go other than where the government is likely to be, and that is William Samoei Ruto.
We must form a coalition before election to be the government. As a Kamba community, this community needs national projects.
David Muthoka, TV47.
Now, the Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry Western Region branch is calling on the government to fast-track the cross-border trade at the Malaba-Uganda border in order to rescue locals on the imminent economic and health issues staring at them with long queues of trucks at the border points. Now, they say for the last 3 months, the truck drivers have been camping at the border points, increasing risks of spreading coronavirus in the county.
In the meantime, we urge the national government to fast-track the harmonization of the regulatory and the policy framework regarding the cross-border trade at the Busia-Malaba border. The current long queues of the trucks at the border is a symptom of a bigger problem and presents economical and health issues that needs to be addressed without any further delay.
So far, hatujaona boda wakitestiwa. Hatujaona mwananchi wa kawaida Busia akipimwa. Vipimo vyote vinaelekezwa kwa madrivers wa trailers. Na ni miezi karibu 5 sasa, miezi 6. So kama corona kweli iko Busia ya kutosha.
The Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Mercy Mwangangi, has stressed the need for increased collaboration in the health sector to address challenges being faced by nurses and midwives in the country. Dr. Mwangangi has further stressed the need to strengthen their capacities as they continue providing healthcare services for all in this pandemic period, adding the government's commitment to support the healthcare workers in the country.
We would like to, of course, thank you all for the great contribution that comes into our well-being. Key achievements in the health sector in Kenya have been instrumental through the work of nurses and midwives. And moving on to coronavirus disease, indeed, this has brought to the forefront the critical role played by our healthcare workers. As far as the nursing fraternity is concerned, we have many nurses contributing to the coronavirus pandemic fight. In all the different task forces, in all the different, intervention areas, we have a lot of participation from this fraternity. And so in the face of this current pandemic that we are facing, as government, we continue to remain cognizant of the need to put in place measures that will enable our country to be able to achieve UHC.
Elsewhere, Kandui Member of Parliament Wafula Wamunyinyi has met a section of 4 Kenya MCAs from Bungoma and Trans Nzoia counties, Wamunyinyi assuring them of unity in the party ahead of the court ruling on the party leadership. Mike Gagwango reports from Bungoma.
Speaking after the meeting with the party MCAs from Bungoma and Trans Nzoia counties, Wamunyinyi stated that the party deserves a better leadership, adding that priority will be given to development agenda.
Siasa ambaye inaharibu maendeleo katika kaunti zetu lazima tukomeshe, na governors wapewe fursa with their executive members to ensure that watu wetu wanapata maendeleo ya kuleta faida kubwa kwa jamii kwa jumla.
The MCAs have maintained that they support the faction led by Wamunyinyi as the party leader.
Uongozi wetu wa Trans Nzoia County, sisi tuko na msimamo. Ndio naona leo hii tumekuja kuhakikishia wana Trans Nzoia, huko ndio ngome ya Fort Kenya. Marehemu Wamalo alizika Trans Nzoia, marehemu Muliro alizika Trans Nzoia, na ukiangalia hawa viongozi wenye nimetaja walipigania chama cha Fort Kenya ili tuwe na usawa.
Na nataka kukanusha jambo moja ambalo Mheshimiwa Ferdinand amesema, ile barua alikuwa anajaribu kuleta katika bunge kubadilisha uongozi. Hiyo ni ndoto, kwa sababu Secretary General wa chama ni Eseli Simi na yeye aliandika barua, na angalia elected MCA wa Ford Kenya wako upande gani. Hata tu huwezi fanya hesabu, wewe mwenyewe unaangalia na macho na unajibu.
They further maintained that they will support the current leadership in order to make development a success.
The drama, the antics and theatrics of the home party leader anapozunguka Kenya hii na Bungoma kuonyesha kwamba yeye ni party leader, it must come to an end. Wa Kenya na watu wa Ford Kenya wamechoka. Tunajua kwamba hizo drama. He must sit knowing that he is now only the senator of Bungoma and only a member of the Ford Kenya party.
The High Court will rule on the Ford Kenya leadership wrangles this month. The parties agreed that the court should rule on their written submissions to write a ruling.
Ruling ya 25th ambayo inakuja, tuko na matumaini kwamba submission yetu ya jurisdiction iko right. It is a point of law that itaweza kubalika ili mambo ya hii dispute katika mahakama iweze kukwisha na tuendeshe chama tuende mbele.
Huo uongozi mbaya wenye tunaona sisi, tunataka kuomba party leader wakati huu, wewe kuwa mkamilifu kwa chama, wewe kuwa mkakamavu, msimamo wako wenye umekuwa nao kati ya viongozi wenye tumejua.
Mheshimiwa Wafula Wamunyinyi, ukiwa kiongozi wa chama cha Ford Kenya sasa, mambo ya kufanya biashara na chama, kuuza gold, kuuza certificates na nini, must come to an end so that we regain the past glory ili chama kiweze kusonga mbele.
Reporting for TV47 from Bungoma County, I'm Mike Kagwango.
Bar owners in parts of North Rift and Western regions have decried over increased businesses of illicit alcohol that have negatively affected them during the COVID-19 pandemic period. Led by Boniface Gashoka, bar owners say many of them have been denied licenses to operate, yet illicit alcohol businesses continue to thrive across the country. Now they want the government to allow bars to open in order to stop the sale of illicit alcohol to Kenyans.
We should be allowed to reopen our businesses because mahali penye tumefika, wanabiashara wetu wamefinyika. And we've constantly been working with the government and taking care of the measures that are set.
We are requesting the national government, the Ministry of Health, to assist us because we have actually make a bigger loss in this county, and we are the bigger taxpayers who are actually submitting to the national government and the county government. We are urging them because the most it is Nandi County, because we complied with the orders of the national government in complying with the Ministry of Health, but they have not considered our request.
Now, over 386,000 livestock in Nyandarua are set to be vaccinated following the launch of a vaccination program by the Nyandarua County government. Now, the 27 million shillings program targets cows set to be vaccinated against foot and mouth disease as well as lumpy skin disease, while dogs, cats and donkeys are set to be vaccinated against rabies. While launching the program in Mirangine sub-county, Nyandarua Governor Francis Kimemia said that the initiative is aimed at improving animal production in the agriculture-rich county.
Many animals. We are estimating to vaccinate the whole herd, the whole daily herd in Nyandarua. All the animals in Nyandarua are vaccinated, and the vaccination will be free.
And as you know, we are the second largest producers of milk. That brings the county over 13 billion shillings per year. So we'll soon be hosting a milk conference to discuss ways of improving our breeds, improving productivity. We'd like to move the productivity from about 8 liters per animal to over 20 liters per animal. But specifically today we are initiating the vaccination of all our animals in the county against foot and mouth and skin lumpy, the lumpy skin disease in our cattle. It is a program between ourselves and the World Bank.
The number of gender-based violence cases have increased rapidly during this COVID-19 pandemic. This is according to the director of Wings of Hope Rescue Home, Awil Mukonyole, who attributes the rising violence to the dire effects of the pandemic, as many people have lost their jobs and are now forced to stay at home with their abusers.
Like this season of COVID-19, we've had so many calls coming in of girls who need to be rescued. So many girls have been forced into pregnancy, and we've been having so many admissions to do during this season, and that is why we have even extended our invitations to organizations like Dormans, and they have come to support us with more beds, with more mattresses, and this will enable us even to admit more girls and have them supported, especially during this tough time of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Many thanks for staying with us here on TV47 on Newsfeed. Let's take a short break. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Welcome back to Newsfeed. Now, residents of Biriet want the county government of Nandi to shut down Chepkit Waterfalls attraction site until all the necessary safety measures are put in place to avert more deaths. Now, this following an unfortunate incident where a lady drowned while on a picnic with her boyfriend. Locals say there has been a number of incidences reported in the attraction site.
Tungeomba serikali walete reimbursement ambaye atatusaidia na itoe hiyo mwili ya hiyo mtoto. Ikiwezekana hata kutoka kesho watusaidie. Kwa sababu tumeumia.
Sio mtoto ya kwanza la. Hii ni miaka kadhaa watu wamekufa hapo wengi.
This place wana collect around 200 shillings per person kukuja hapa kuangalia. But ukizunguka hapa vizuri hakuna, yani it's so dangerous.
Ningependa kuambia county government ya Nandi washughulike kuangalia kwamba this place is secure. You cannot collect revenue from people in an unsecure place.
Now, on the international scene, World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom has urged nations to adopt data-driven approaches and tailored measures in combating the coronavirus pandemic in place of lockdowns which have triggered economic meltdowns in most countries. Tedros, who spoke during a media briefing on COVID-19, termed lockdowns imposed in various countries globally as blunt instruments which can be avoided. He pointed out that many countries across across the world have used a data-driven approach to initiate a targeted COVID-19 response.
Yesterday, I had the honor of addressing foreign ministers from G20 countries. The focus of the discussion was on how together we can reopen societies, economies, and borders. This is something WHO supports wholeheartedly. Lockdowns are a blunt instrument that have taken a heavy toll in many countries. With the right mix of target and tailored measures, further national lockdowns can be avoided. Several countries are using a data-driven approach to drive a targeted response. This is allowing them to open up carefully and safely, while remaining ready to respond rapidly to any new clusters or amplifying events. Once again, I want to reiterate the 4 priorities we urge countries to focus on: prevent amplifying events, empower people to protect themselves and others, focus on the public health basics, and protect the vulnerable, including older people and those with underlying conditions.
And U.S. President Donald Trump has called a story about him referring to U.S. Marines buried in a World War I cemetery in